How's it going, everybody? Doing a request here today for I'm just going to call it a sports ramble because I'm going to throw some basketball in, but they want a hockey ramble. It's going to be kind of similar to that last one I did. It's going to be mostly hockey, and then I'll throw some basketball in. The two big things out of baseball right now is Ohtani to the Dodgers and Soto getting traded to the Yankees. But yeah, I got the standings here on my phone. Let's go over the standings real quick, and the same thing, go see the points leaders and whatnot. So in the Atlantic, Boston's still in first here, 40 points. They're 18-5-4. Toronto's behind them with 36. Florida as well with 36, but they have two more games played than both those teams. Followed by Detroit with 34, Tampa with 31. I'm sorry, Tampa with 33, Montreal 28, Buffalo 27, Ottawa with 22. Tampa's already played 31 games, which is kind of crazy, actually. They have a lot of top-heavy that first half of the year, which could be good if you're doing well and they're doing okay. But if you're doing they're fifth in their division right now, so actually they would be out of the, no, they wouldn't be out of the playoffs. Actually, they would be out of the playoffs, sorry. So if you're doing well and then you have more of a break in the second half of the season, it'll help. But Ottawa is the bottom feeder of the conference right now, and they're not even terrible. They're 11-13. They actually have no overtime losses. And only one shootout win, which is crazy. Wow, you're telling me they haven't gone to they only went to overtime once. Wow. Metropolitan Rangers are in first with 39. Islanders are in second with 35. They've actually played pretty well, the Islanders. Like, they had a little skid there early, and I was like, ah, shit. But they've actually been quietly solid. The only problem they have is they have 7 overtime losses, or they have 2 shootout losses and 1 shootout win. They've blown, I think, the most third-period leads in the league. At last I checked, it was like 11. It's probably up to about 14 now. They don't lose all of those games, but it's a problem that they have to correct. And those 7 overtime losses could bite them at the end of the year, because if they don't have enough regulation wins, overtime wins, it's going to be a problem. If they're tight in a playoff race or even a division race, it could cost you a division or a playoff spot, because you don't have, like, you could have a better record than another team, but if you have the same amount of points, if that other team has more regulation wins, they're getting in. Followed by the the Flyers with 35, Carolina with 33, Washington 32, New Jersey 31, Pittsburgh 29, and Columbus with 25. If the season ended today, there'd be 4 in each of those divisions. Sometimes it'll be 5 in one if they have 5 better teams. If that 5th team's better than the 4th team in the other division. Pittsburgh's been on and off. They had lost 4 in a row, I think. Now they're at 2 wins in a row. But everybody's pretty tight in the games played. Columbus is another team that has 31 games played. But it's either 29 to 27. Actually, Washington has 26. The Western Conference in the Central Division, we've got the Avalanche, 38 points, 18-9-2. Winnipeg is in second at 17-9-2. Dallas at third at 35 points, 16-8-3. Nashville 32 points. St. Louis with 29. Arizona with 28. Minnesota with 26. And Chicago at 19. Now, Chicago overall is the worst team in the league right now. And once again, Bedard's playing so good, and they suck, which is the best combination, because they could end up with another top 3 pick easily if they keep playing the way they are. It could end up being a Penguins situation with them, where Bedard's already looks like he's going to be great, right? You never know, of course. At worst, better it's going to be like an excellent player. I don't think he's going to be. I mean, he could, but I don't necessarily think he's going to be McDavid level or like Crosby. You know, back when he first came in, Crosby's still good, but I'm talking like when he was, the best in the league. But he's really good though, right out of the gate, which is key. And they're not doing well, which is like, oh no, but no, that's good. Because if you end up with another top 3 pick and you get another player who at the very least is really good, you're going to be set. They're going to be set. It worked out with the Penguins. I think it was Fleury, Crosby, and I think Malkin were all top 3 picks. I'm pretty sure Fleury and Crosby were 1s. I think Malkin was a 3. I could be wrong. Now, they all panned out. Like, Fleury was solid for them while he was there. And obviously Crosby and Malkin were exceptional and still are. Malkin's falling off a little bit more than Crosby, but they're both still really good players. They're obviously been in the league a while now, but they're both still really good. I'm surprised to see the Carolina not doing a little better. Not that they're doing bad. Like I said, if they can, but then you have the other end of the coin. It doesn't matter because Bedard's already good and should be at the very least a really good player, right? You go the other route where the Oilers had 50 number 1 picks. No, really, what was it? Yakupov failed. Taylor Hall was decent and then got better when he left. Nugent Hopkins is decent. He got better once McDavid came. McDavid was the 1. And Draisaitl was a 3 overall, and he worked out as well. So those two, it's funny, they didn't have, none of them were world-breaking until McDavid came, and then Draisaitl ended up being great too. And Draisaitl's not just a product of McDavid. I think they play on different lines. Anyway, Draisaitl's awesome as well. Anyway, Pacific Division, Vegas, I think Vegas is the best team in the league at the moment. 30 games played, 25-5, 45 points. Vancouver's having a nice little year as well. 29-1, 41 points. Then the Kings are at 36. The Islanders actually gave the Kings their first road loss in overtime. They beat them in overtime. Edmonton starting to play better. They were looking bad, but they're at 500 at the moment. 27 points. Calgary, 27 points. Seattle, 27 points. San Jose, 21. And Anaheim, 20. Obviously, we're not halfway through the season yet, but things are taking kind of shape. Hockey's crazy, though. Teams will be battling out for a while. It's always like that in hockey. Does anybody have 7? Oh, Seattle also has 7 overtime losses, so the Islanders are not alone. That's way too many for this early in the season. Toronto's got 6. You shouldn't have more than 3 or 4, because those things will bite you in the ass if you're fighting for a playoff spot. Those lack of regulation wins will bite you in the ass. But yeah, let's go to some stats real quickly and see what's changed. I can't remember who was doing what when I last did the hockey type ramble. Kucherov's got 50 points. JT Miller in Vancouver, 43. McKinney, 41. McDavid, 40. Pasternak, 39. It's like McDavid's almost having an off year, and he's still well past a point a game. Matthews has 23 goals. What else is new? He's an elite goal scorer. He's the best goal scorer in the league, I would think, over the last couple of years. Brock Boser has 22. Kucherov has 20. Reinhardt, 17. Actually, I gotta see what Crosby's doing this year. He's got 31 points. He's got 17 goals, which is really nice. Is he 36, it says? Let's see the complete leaders. The Islanders are actually picking up the pace. I'll talk about the Islanders a little bit more because I'm a fan, obviously. Barzal's starting to play better. Horvat's been solid as well. Goaltending's been good. Sorokin's goals against is over 3, but his save percentage is still really good. He eats a lot of shots, which sucks. Their defense is not as good as it should be, and they have 2 guys gone for a bit. I think Pellick and Pulock are both out. Yeah, Vancouver's got Quinn Hughes on there, Peterson as well in the top 10. Islanders having a nice year, 38 points with Toronto. There's Jack Hughes. There's a lot of guys actually having solid years. We might see a lot of guys at over a point a game by the end of it. There's Barzal at 30 points in 26 games. So you go 26 players deep. Actually, it might be more than that. Yeah, 26, 27 players have over 30 points or more, so. And Matt Zuccarello doing well, former Ranger on Minnesota now. Horvat's got 26 points in 27 games. He was a good signing after they traded him. I'm glad they ever signed. The Islanders are weird because the Islanders will. It's the problem, and I was talking about this with my friend with the teams. The Yankees kind of in the Mets. The Mets will get good free agents, but it's worse with the Islanders. But the Yankees will always usually attract the big stud free agents, right? I'm talking in New York area. I'm not throwing like the Dodgers and LA teams into the mix and stuff. But the Islanders, like, it's annoying. They can't land a lot of. They don't land the star free agent. They lose out on them a lot, or they're rumored to get a guy, which you can take that with a grain of salt, like Goudreau and Panarin, who ended up with the Rangers. Goudreau went to Columbus, which was weird. He could have went to Philly. He could have went to the Devils. I think he grew up in Jersey, but he chose to go to Columbus. I think that had to have been because he didn't want to deal with the spotlight. I'm sure he ate a lot of shit in Calgary, even though he's a good player. But if you're in a bigger market, and I'm just saying Calgary because I would assume they're a bigger market, and then you're in Canada, so they were probably more invested. Columbus is like the safe bet. No one's going to get on you or whatever. You can still do decent. That was a weird choice for him, in my opinion. What is Draisaitl doing this year? He's got 33 points in 27 games. But the Islanders with the Rangers, they can't. They'd rather sign with the Rangers, right? Original six. You're in the city. You're in the heart of the city, the Garden, blah, blah, blah. So even when the Rangers are not good, and they had periods in the early 2000s where they missed the playoffs for like 5, 6, 7 years or whatever, similar to the Islanders, except obviously they both have 4 cups, but the Rangers would be more consistent, and they have a better chance of being consistent, at least then. Now the Islanders actually have in their own arena that's state of the art, and they have owners that are willing to spend. Problem is, a lot of guys don't. There's like rumors that they'll come, and maybe they will, but they don't. And here's the funny thing. Guys like Horvat, who's a solid player. Now, he's not like a top tier player, but he's a really good player. He gets traded, and he'll sign the deal. People love being on the island. If they get, they don't want to sign with the team, but if they get traded and they hang out for a bit outside of Ryan Smith, when they did that trade with Edmonton back in like whenever that was, 2006, 2007, they'll be like, yeah, I love it, and they stay and they sign the deal. They can get solid free agents, but they can never get like that top-end free agent that could possibly put them over the hump. Now, obviously, they've had success recently, with just having a lot of good players. They had the 2 conference finals appearances where they lost to the Lightning. And, that was when the Trotz, they lost in the first round last year, but they had a second round appearance as well. They had a nice little run. And then Trotz got fired. And they're doing pretty good this year, so. All right, here we go, goals. We got, like I said, Matthews has 23. Nothing crazy here. No one's like going. It's actually Matthews is averaging almost a goal a game, which is kind of nuts. He's got 23 goals in 27 games, but let's see whoever else is close. 22 and 30 games for Bozer. Yeah, nobody else has that kind of rate. Actually, let's look at the. Where is their? Come on, where is it? His shot percentage, Matthews, is 19%. Bozer's is 27%, which is extremely high. Reinhardt's at 23%. JT Miller at 21%, 20.4. But hockey's always fun to watch, though. The person they mentioned in a comment actually earlier, I guess they meant like how has it changed? I guess since I started watching hockey and now I started first getting into hockey in like the late '80s. It's the funny thing is the game's faster paced now, but the goalies have better equipment and it's just they're overall better than they were back then. Like back in the day, and I'm not even talking the '80s, but like the '90s. Even there was years where guys were 92, 93. I think was the year where players were going for like $130, $140, $150 in points. I mean, you had Gretzky and Lemieux going nuts in the '80s and '90s as well. But now Gretzky's hitting like 200 points in like probably 3 or 4 seasons. Which, whatever, you can say error this, error that. It's still fucking impressive, you know. Lemieux hit 199. Lemieux was fucking impressive as well. And he missed a lot of time, obviously. He had the Hodgkins, right? And then he came back and was still awesome. But he was incredible. It was Lemieux and Gretzky were the two, you know, for a while. From like the late 80s. Because Lemieux came in maybe, I don't know when he actually came, maybe like 86, 87 or something like that. Gretzky was well before that. I think Gretzky's first year was like, well, Edmonton moved from, I guess, the AHL or whatever they were into the NHL. And the team was amazing. They were just freaking loaded. But really, the game's faster now. The defense was almost non-existent back in the day. And you had some stud goalies. You had Brodeurs, and I'm talking more than 90s here. Brodeur, Patrick Waugh was good in the 80s as well. And Hasek, Belfour. There was some stud goalies, but there's a lot of goalies that were like decent. It was a different time though, you know, like any sport. Outside of maybe baseball. Baseball doesn't overly change, at least, you know, the last like 20, 30 years. You go back further and it's different, but just really faster. And the game's faster now, you know. And the goalies are better. And, you know, like I said, with any sport, the training and the access these players have now is so much different than they had even in the 90s. You know, you have like maybe the early 2000s, you know, you have access to state-of-the-art medical treatments, trainers, everything state-of-the-art equipment and everything, you know, to work out equipment and shit. But hockey's still fun as shit to watch. Let me look at the goalies real quick. Then I'll go into a little bit of basketball. I'm not going nuts. I haven't been paying too much attention to basketball. We got a Hill on the Golden Knights. He's got a 1.87 goals against. 10-2-2. Cam Talbot's 12-5 and 2 with a 2.03 for the Kings. Jonathan Quick is 8-0-1 with a 2.20 goals against for the Rangers. He's obviously their backup. Varlamov's in there at 6-3 for the Islanders. He's gotten 10 games. Thankfully, they're not playing Sorokin into the ground. And Varlamov's still good. There's Sheshkarin. He's having an off year. You can say the same thing about Sorokin, but like Sorokin's goals against are 3.11 and Sheshkarin's 3.02. But I'll look at save percentages. They probably still have solid save percentages. They just face a lot of shots, clearly, I would think. But Braski's having a good year. There's a lot of guys here doing pretty well. And Allmark's doing good. So they have Swayman and Allmark on Boston, so they have that another sick goalie tandem that they had last year as well. Let me see. Let's see save percentage here. Hill in Vegas has 9.35. Swayman has a 9.33. Quick has a 9.22, so he's there. Yeah, like Varlamov's is 9.21. Sorokin's is still 9.14. So he's still got a nice save percentage. He eats a lot of shots. Cheskrin's at 9.02. So he's a little lower, but still he's over 9. Like, let's see his shots against. Hill's actually having such a great year because he's actually... See, shots against. Sorokin's third in the league. He has 661 against him. The most is Binnington on St. Louis at 693. Saros I don't know if you're saying it right. 668. Sjeskerin's at 508, so he's at 19th. So Sorokin just eats a lot. They shoot on him a lot. Now let's see. He started. Let's do a little math here for a second. He started 18 games. So that's more than Bennington. And if Bennington's at 22, Saros is at 23. If Sorokin was at that point, he'd be well past them in shots against. But he's played 5 less games than Saros and 4 less than Bennington. Yeah, he's got a lot less games and a lot of goalies, but they have a nice tandem, so they can go back and forth. Same thing with the Rangers. Same thing with Boston, which is huge to have that. Yeah, he just eats a lot of shots. So it's 668. That's 661 saves he has actually. That's 661 saves. Sorry, and he's given up 57 goals, so he's over 700. That's a lot. Like, let's be honest. It's too many. I don't know why their D usually doesn't give up that many shots, so I don't know what's changed. Alright, anyway, let's go to basketball real quickly here. Do maybe like 5-6 minutes of basketball. The Lakers won that play-in thing. They beat the Pacers, that play-in tournament that the NBA's always got to do something different. I mean, Portland wasn't winning that, but even if I was a fan of the Lakers, I'd be like, whatever, cool. I don't care. You want the fucking NBA title, especially if you're like teams like the Lakers and shit like that. Like, you're playing for the title, Boston's 18-5, Milwaukee 17-7. I saw that Giannis had 764 points the other night, and they gave the game ball, or they were trying to, or I don't know who has it now, to the Pacers rookie that got his first point, and everybody's flipping out. Giannis was losing his shit. Philly's 16-7, which is solid. Orlando's still doing well at 16-7. Pacers 13-9, Knicks 13-10, and then the 4 play-in teams: Miami, Brooklyn, Cleveland, and Toronto. Toronto's 10-14, the only under 500 team there. Detroit is 2-22 and has lost 21 in a row. Wow. Washington's 3-20. Holy shit. I'll go to stats in a minute. Minnesota's 18-5 to lead the conference. Denver's 17-9 in second. OKC 15-8. Dallas 15-9. Sacramento 14-9. Lakers 15-10. And then the play-in teams at the moment: 14-10 Clippers, 12-9 Houston. Then you have New Orleans and Phoenix. So everybody's over 500 in the West. That's in the play-in round at the moment. Golden State disappointing, 10-14. Portland 6-17. They're not. I thought they'd be better. They've had some injuries, but they're just not playing that well. Whatever, maybe they end up with another sweet pick. Who the hell knows? And San Antonio's lost 18 in a row. They're 3-20. Portland's lost 5 in a row. I had more high hopes for them. It's naive of me, I guess. Kind of dumb. But let's see who's leading the league, because I do not know who's leading in what. Embiid's averaging 33 points. Doncic, I don't know how you say his name. Doncic. 32.3, Giannis at 32. I don't know how to say this guy's name on OKC. Alexander is hyphenated, but the last name full is Alexander. 31, Durant at 30. Halliburton on Indiana, 12 assists. Trae Young averaging 10.8. Jokic is averaging 9.4. Doncic is at 9-1. Of course, Curry leads the league in 5 threes made per game. 12 rebounds for Jokic. Anthony Davis, 12.5. Sabonis, Arvydas Sabonis' kid. DeMontis, I don't know his name. 12.4 boards. Brook Lopez averaging 3 blocks. Victor Wembanyama, I don't know. The rookie, who's having a really good year. He's averaging 3 blocks. Let's see how LeBron is doing. I love the LeBron. I think LeBron's one of the greatest ever, but it's funny watching people cream their jeans over him and absolutely fucking hate him. It's hilarious. Like, who cares? LeBron is averaging 25 points per game. There's Lillard, the old Blazer. Good for him, though. They trade him to a good team. Like, Lillard can be like, oh, I want to go to the Heat. I wanted to go to the Heat. Dude, they sent you to a team with Giannis, arguably the best player in the league at the moment. Him and Joker are probably the top two. And Luka as well. I'm not going to say their last names. That was just their first names. LeBron's still averaging 25 points. What's he shooting? 52% from the field, so he's still shooting well. He's lost a step, but I think he's a little slower on the defensive end, but whatever, dude, he's still LeBron. He's averaging 7 rebounds, almost 7 assists. Portland has nobody anywhere. Jeremy Grant's the only guy there. He's averaging 22 points. There's a lot of dudes actually having good averages this year. Now, the NBA's changed where it's not as, like, the defensive metrics are different now in the NBA than they were back in the day. Because guys didn't shoot threes back in the day. Like, everybody's like, well, Jordan wasn't a good three shooter. He didn't. It was a different league. If they were like, Jordan shoot threes, if Jordan wanted to shoot more threes, he would be good at threes. He wouldn't be Steph Curry level, but he would be decent enough at threes. But it was a different league back then. I used to love basketball in the 90s, though. There was so many, like, the one thing that's missing now is there's not enough, like, blood feuds. Oh, look at this. Matthew Perry died. Obviously, we know that a couple months ago. But he died from acute effects of ketamine. Oh, why does it say that? Oh, I guess the actual name for it is... I'm not saying that. Why am I talking about this? It's a fucking ramble. It's not my business. He was in... we know he was in Friends, but he was the voice in Fallout New Vegas. But yeah, you had the Pacers, the Knicks and the Heat, the Bulls and the Pistons. That was more 80s, late 80s. You know, teams like hated each other, man. You still see some okay rivalries now, but like the teams literally hated each other. The Knicks and like 5 different teams, the Knicks and the Bulls, Pacers and the Bulls. You didn't see as many in the Western Conference, but they were there too. But yeah, but you know what? It's fun in every era. You know, I grew up. I started liking basketball in 91, 92. So I've watched it throughout the eras, and you see it change, and I'm still entertained by it. Same thing with hockey. I'm still entertained by it. Football. I'm not as invested as I used to be in a lot of the sports, but I still enjoy following what's going on in them and stuff. And I understand eras change, things change. You could be saying to a little bit like, oh, guys in the 90s played with plumbers. Well, actually, they were just professional basketball players. I'd be impressed if plumbers were doing that. But people are going to be saying the same thing 25 years from now. They'll be like, LeBron James was playing with plumbers. You know, that's what they'll say because the players are somehow in 25 years are going to be dunking on like 15-foot rims. You know, they're going to be averaging 50 points. But anyway, this is just a request here for mostly hockey. Right? They want hockey ramble. There's some basketball in there as well. But thanks for checking this out and have a good day.